Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV News Cycle. In Nigeria's capital, Abuja, I'm Wuyi Agumofwegbe. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar has explained the reason President Bola Tinubu skipped his speaking engagement at the ongoing United Nations Climate Change Conference in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. Stating that Nigeria is tired of official and fancy statements, Tugar said going forward, the country is tilted in favor of action. He said President Bola Tinubu had earlier been scheduled to speak at the World Climate Action Conference on Friday alongside other heads of state, but did not, a development that raised questions about the country's position at the conference. He said the government wanted a change of attitude towards the conference, away from colorful speeches that are repeated every year without very little progress made. The federal government says it is working with the United Nations and the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, as well as the Global Fund on initiative aimed at ensuring country ownership and sustainability of national response to HIV/AIDS beyond 2030. The collaboration came just as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, revealed that President Bola Tinubu's administration is committed to sustaining the initiative to treat more HIV patients annually using resources mobilized locally. The SGF, who spoke during the commemoration of World AIDS Day in Abuja on Friday, said the government recognized the invaluable contributions of communities in the fight against the scourge. The Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has assured that Nigerians will receive their passports 3 weeks from the day of application submission, except in cases of unanticipated technical difficulties. Speaking to reporters at the opening of the Igbogbo Passport Front Office in the Igbogbo Beyeku Local Council Development Area of Ikorodu in Lagos State, the Controller General, Caroline Adepoju, stated that barring all technical problems, Nigerians should be able to completely apply for their passports, and within 3 weeks, they should be able to get it. According to her, since national identity numbers are connected to passports, it is crucial that all applicants register using the same information as the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. The Military High Command has stated that troops, in collaboration with the operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, have arrested the leader of Islamic State for West African Province terrorist group in North Central and Northwest zones. Although the military did not identify the terrorist leader, it said he was in custody. A statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the resolve of the military to go after the leaders of the terrorist groups led to the arrests of the terrorist leader. He noted that air operations conducted in the regions had led to the destruction of the terrorist enclaves. Chief Whip of the Senate, Ali Ndume, has defended the rendition of the President Bola Tinubu campaign tune at the hallowed chamber of the National Assembly during the presentation of the 2024 budget, saying it is, quote, not a big deal. Earlier on Wednesday, during the President's presentation of the appropriation bill before the joint session of the National Assembly, the band delivered a rendition of the Tinubu's campaign tune as the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Speaking on the development, Udome said it is not really right, but equally it's not a crime. He said in Nigeria, it is used to pick on tribal things. Indications have emerged that the National Assembly would pass the 2024 appropriation bill of 27.5 trillion naira on Tuesday, December 19. The Senate and the House of Representatives had passed the renewed hope budget for second reading. Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barau hinted during the plenary that the budget might be passed by the lawmakers on December 19 before embarking on their Christmas and New Year break. During deliberations, senators applauded President Bola Tinubu for his good intentions for the country, but some lamented the failure of the executive to provide details of the budget. Members of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly have unanimously elected Danladi Jatau, representing Kokona West constituency, as Speaker of the House. Similarly, the position of the Deputy Speaker, Winston Mohammed Oyanki, member representing Doma North constituency. The newly occupied positions followed Tuesday's sack of the former Speaker Ibrahim Abdullahi at the appeal court sitting in Abuja. Let's turn to other story now. The Nigerian Navy says its personnel have impounded and destroyed a boat conveying drams of illegally refined automated gas oil, also called AGO, in the seaward of the Bonny Island Channel in Rivers State. A top official of the Navy in Bonny, who did not want his name mentioned, disclosed this to journalists, saying the boat was arrested off the Bonny River. He said in a coordinating effort, the diesel-laden boat was destroyed by men of the Ford operating base, Bonny, putting the estimated quantity of the destroyed product at 150,000 liters. The official further said the recent efforts by the security outfits were predicated on the charge of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, to officers and men to stamp out criminal activities in the maritime domain. With the alarming rates, cases of tuberculosis increasing yearly, countries have been called upon to domesticate the global campaign towards ending the scourge of tuberculosis by the year 2030. The call was made at a meeting organized by the Stop TB Partnership Nigeria towards achieving a world free of tuberculosis. The Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, NCPWD, James Lalu, says 3.35.1 million Nigerians are currently living with disabilities. He made this known during a one-day program for the issuance of permanent certificates to persons with disabilities in the southeast held in Owerri, Imo State capital. The NCPWD boss, represented by the Commission's Acting Director, Compliance and Enforcement, Nkem Ucheagbolam, said that the figure is based on reports by the World Health Organization. You're watching Global TV News Cycle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on StarTimes Channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When News Cycle returns, Nigeria, Germany signed agreements to accelerate Siemens power project. The news continues shortly with details of this and other stories right after this short break. Please don't go away. This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of the news cycle from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. On the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree boosting troop numbers by 15% in a move the army said was due to threats associated with the Ukraine offensive. The move comes as both Ukraine and Russia seek to gain ground and replenish their ranks in the conflict, whose front lines have barely moved in recent months. The increase in the full-time strength of the army, he says, is due to growing threats to the countries linked with the special military operation and the continuing expansion of NATO. He said the number of serving armies and soldiers would increase by some 170,000 people, and that this was an adequate response to the aggressive activity of the NATO bloc. No fewer than 50 students from the University College Dublin have been involved in the construction of the Republic of Ireland's first successfully launched satellite. The satellite EIRSat-1 is a 2-unit CubeSat, miniature cube satellite equipped with 3 experiments and was deployed into orbit from a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket from the Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, United States. The student-built satellite was constructed under the guidance of the European Space Agency. The launch of the educational Irish Research Satellite 1 has been described as a major milestone in the nation's space industry. And coming closer to home now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has strongly condemned an outbreak of fighting in Guinea-Bissau, where the situation had returned to calm on Saturday. Clashes between members of the National Guard and Special Forces of the Presidential Guard broke out in the capital, Bissau, leaving 2 dead. ECOWAS stated in a statement that it strongly condemns the violence and all attempts to disrupt the constitutional order and rule of law in Guinea-Bissau. And time to talk business now. Governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, has concluded plans to increase salaries of the state's workforce. Otti disclosed this in Umuahia during a media parley with journalists, stating that he is engaging with stakeholders to improve the minimum wage of the state workers and that soonest the package would be made public. The reason for adjusting the package, he stated, was in line with the realities at hand, especially the economy, adding that the recently retired permanent secretaries and directors would receive arrears of salaries and gratuities due to them, while assuring his commitment to the free pension arrears in the state. Away from home, Nigeria and Germany have signed the Presidential Power Initiative (PPI) agreement to improve electricity supply in Africa's most populous nation. This was disclosed in a statement by the special advisor to the president, Ajuri Ngelale, saying the signing was presided over by President Bola Tinubu and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, while the managing director of the Nigeria Power Company, Kenny Anue, signed on behalf of Nigeria. The managing director, Africa, CMS AG, Nadia Hakanson, signed for Germany. Speaking after the signing ceremony in Dubai, managing director of the federal government power company, Kenny Anue, highlighted Siemens Energy's effective delivery of crucial equipment worth over 63 million euros to the country since the project commenced. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it will freeze accounts without a bank verification number, BVN, or national identification number, NIN, from April 2024. This is according to a circular by the Apex Bank, which instructed banks to place a post-no debit restriction which prevents customers from making withdrawals, transfers, or any other debits for all existing Tier 1 accounts or wallets without BVN or NIN. It also said all BVN or NIN attached to accounts or wallets must be electronically revalidated by January 21, 2024. According to the bank, a BVN or NIN verification will be conducted shortly, adding that the move is part of its effort to promote financial system stability and strengthening of the Know Your Customer (KYC) procedures in financial institutions. The bank says it will also carry out a comprehensive BVN and NIN audits shortly, and where breaches are identified, appropriate sanctions will be applied. The federal government, through the Nigerian Orientation Agency, has launched a compressed natural gas Keke Napep to cut down the high cost of transportation. The National Orientation Agency, in collaboration with Slimba Group of Companies and Ecomed Acres, launched the CNG Keke on Friday in Abuja. The tricycle is said to consume less fuel compared to the existing tricycles that use petrol, and as such will cut down the cost of transportation to its barest. Addressing journalists at the event, Director General of the agency, Lanre Issa Onilu, said the project is focused on touching the lives of ordinary Nigerians, especially those living in the rural areas, and consonant with President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. The DG said the federal government has established about 10,000 CNG stations across the country to ensure the availability of compressed natural gas to users of the newly launched tricycles. And in sports, Lionel Messi is not ruling out another bid for World Cup glory with Argentina in 2026, despite acknowledging that time is working against him. Messi, who recently won his 8th Ballon d'Or, raised the World Cup almost a year ago after starring for Argentina in final stage against France in Doha. The 36-year-old had suggested at the time that the tournament in Qatar would be his last and that he would not be around for the next tournament, which will be co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. However, having moved to Major League Soccer's Inter Miami and continued performing for the national team in qualifiers for the 2026, he stated that the door remains open. Rafael Nadal has announced his return to the tennis courts after nearly a year out. Will be in Brisbane, Australia, for the first week of the 2024 season. The former world #1 last played at the Australian Open, where he exited the slam prematurely as a result of a hip injury which required surgery. For more updates on sports, let's now join Anthony Mamadou.
Hello sports fans, welcome to Global Sports News Update. Let's begin with tennis, where Rafa Nadal has announced his return to the tennis court after nearly a year out and will be in Brisbane for the first week of the 2024 season. The former world number one last played at Australian Open, where he exited the slam prematurely as a result of a hip injury which required surgery. The 37-year-old subsequently sat out of the rest of the 2023 campaign and fell out of the top 100 for the first time in 2 decades. However, Nadal released a video to social media which confirmed that he is returning to the sport by heading to Brisbane for the first week of the new season. And running into football, Cristiano Ronaldo was left fuming as his Al Nassr side were beaten 3-0 by their rivals Al Hilal in a bitter Saudi Pro League clash, as he sarcastically blew kisses at fans who chanted for Lionel Messi. The Portuguese was visibly upset at full-time as Al Nassr were beaten 3-0 and failed to make ground at the top of the Saudi top flight. Ronaldo was joined by former Liverpool forward Sadio Mane as both started the top of the table match, but neither were able to find the back of the net in 19 minutes. Al Hilal stayed in front of their home supporters, winning courtesy of goals from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and Alexander Mitrovic. And going to Germany, Hamburg goalkeeper Daniel Fernandes has been credited for scoring the greatest own goal ever after smashing the ball into his own net in Bundesliga second division derby clash. Fernandes was at fault for the second goal in the derby that gave St. Pauli a 2-goal lead in Bundesliga 2 match, and social media has been quick to mock the moment. When goalkeepers usually score own goals, it is normally as a result of a mistaken save or the ball bouncing back off the woodwork and the player, but Fernandes didn't make such mistake. And wrapping it up, Andre Onana could be banned from playing for Manchester United if he rejects the chance to play for Cameroon at the African Cup of Nations. The goalkeeper is expected to be called up to the Cameroonian squad for the AFCON in the Ivory Coast between January 13 and February 11 next year. If Cameroon enjoy a good tournament, Onana could miss 6 matches for his club in the Premier League and FA Cup. However, Onana is nervous about losing his place at United to Turkish understudy Atla Beyinde while he's away and may try and swerve the tournament. That's how we call it a wrap on the Sports News Update. I am Anthony Momodu.
And that's it on Global TV News Cycle. We are on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using at Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. I'm Muyi Agumofwebe, thanking you so very much for watching. I'll see you on News Prime.